Expect more right now. You're watching Wave 3 News.
A man shot and killed by an LMPD officer. It's all caught on surveillance video right here now. You will hear the police chief's response as the department decides if the shooting was justified. Well, good morning to you. Coming up here on 6 o'clock on your Monday morning, we are also covering 2 deadly force incidents in Indiana. Julian is on that LMPD one. A Hardinsburg man shot after confronting men stealing his car, and Jeb Bush declaring his run for the White House today. All right, Chris, you got an issue on 71 already this morning.
Yeah, up around Pendleton. That is hopefully clearing up as we speak.
Big issue with the weather is you need your AC right away, because when you walk out the door, you won't believe it. In addition to the heat we've been having for days, now we've got the humidity, Christy.
Yes, now we have to deal with that humidity, and the two coming in together. As soon as you walk outside, you're going to notice just how warm it is. Take a look at Chris McGill. You've had some issues earlier. What's going on right now?
Well, we still have a problem with 71 North at Pendleton. We have a tractor-trailer wreck there. Happened overnight. We'll update you again for this Monday. Coming up here in less than 15 minutes.
Well, the debate going on right now, was that police shooting in Louisville justified use of deadly force? LMPD says it doesn't have that answer, but officials say they believe the officer involved believed his life was in danger. Wave 3 News reporter Julian Glover's been following this story right from the start. So, Julian, the surveillance video shows a clear picture of what happened right there.
John, that's right. That surveillance video shows everything, this entire confrontation as it unfolded. We know it all happened in Old Louisville at the intersection of 4th Street and Oak Street, right out front of a smoker's smoke shop, a convenience store at the corner of that intersection right there. We're going to give you the play-by-play. LMPD responding to reports of a man beating a woman. When they got there, they found this man to the left, Ding Monyoon, the responding officer, Nathan Blanford. Now we want to show you that surveillance video that everyone's talking about this morning, and we'll show it to you in a few different perspectives right here. You can see the officer, Nathan Blanford, walking up to Ding Monyoon. They exchange words, and in just a second, you'll see him stumble back a little bit. He then walks away. The officer follows him, and then you'll see the officer, Nathan Blanford, grabbing his gun. And that's when Ding Monyoon comes back into the picture, swinging that flagpole twice, and the officer fires 2 shots to defend himself. All of this is definitely being very closely looked at by all of those people in the community. We spoke exclusively to the man who owned the Smoker Smoke Shop where all of this happened, and he caught the entire incident on camera using his surveillance camera.
Took the flag with the, with the bow on it, and he started showing off with it, and then my employee guy went behind the counter trying to go get the guy, and next thing did he heard like 2 shots.
Well, investigators said they think Monyoon was homeless. LMPD Chief Steve Conrad says the woman who was reportedly assaulted by Monyoon was treated by EMS and was not taken to the hospital. LMPD's policy says deadly force is justified when an officer reasonably believes his life is in danger, and Conrad's initial observation of the surveillance video was that this could be that type of case.
It would appear to me, based on my view of the video, that he felt threatened, that his life was in danger.
So the big question this morning, where does this all go from here? Officer Blanford will be interviewed this week, and LMPD's Public Integrity Unit will complete its report for prosecutors. From there, they'll decide if the case should be presented to a grand jury for a possible indictment.
All right, Julian, now we looked into Monyoon's past. He was arrested back in March for a number of charges, including criminal trespassing, menacing, and indecent exposure, which were all dismissed June 6th. He pleaded guilty to disorderly conduct and spent 10 days in jail for that. We looked into Officer Blanford's personnel file, and it a dozen letters commending Officer Blanford for his work with LMPD. Those letters date back to 2006. He was also nominated for the Distinguished Life Saving Award. And there were a couple of letters of reprimand, too, because Blanford failed to go to court, and he was suspended for a day. A deadly police shooting in Indianapolis. But this one isn't nearly as controversial as that one. Police came to a home after a report of a burglary yesterday morning, and that's where they heard gunshots and screaming. When they got inside, they found the victim's ex-boyfriend pointing a gun at her face. That man then shot at the woman, leading an officer to shoot him. At last check, the woman is in stable but serious condition at the local hospital there, and the suspect is in serious condition. Indianapolis police are now investigating that incident. In Kokomo, Indiana, police released the name of the officer who shot and killed a 17-year-old girl who was pointing a gun at a store clerk. Roy Smith is a 10-year police veteran. Police say the girl had the gun pointed at a gas station clerk during an attempted robbery at Casey's General Store Friday night. Authorities later determined the gun she was holding was a type of air gun. Well, an update this morning on the investigation into a body found in an alley near 30th Street and Chestnut last week. Police arrested Trice Whaley for the murder of 27-year-old Brandon Bryant. They say Whaley shot Bryant and dumped his body in an alley. Surveillance cameras helped them crack the case. We looked into Whaley's background, found he has previous drug and burglary charges, and he is set to be arraigned today. Happening now, a Kentucky man's fighting for his life after confronting a thief in downtown Nashville. Police say Shane Hinton of Hardinsburg was shot multiple times after he and a friend approached people who appear to be stealing from a car in a parking garage. Hinton told police one of them pulled a pistol and fired at him at close range. The suspect has been identified as 21-year-old Ismail Ahmed. Hinton is in critical condition. It's 6:07 on your Monday. Big announcement from the left and the right as more politicians launch campaigns to become the next president of the United States. Plus, why plans for a new hotel could keep millions of dollars right here in Louisville.
And the heat wave continues as highs head back to the 90s again today after a very muggy start this morning. We're going to take a look at your chances for storms coming up. Here's a look at your Kentucky Lottery jackpots. The Mega Millions is $35 million and the Powerball, $70 million.
The Kentucky #1 in breaking weather coverage. Here's your local forecast from meteorologist Christy Dutton of the Wave 3 Storm Tracking Team.
Good morning. Taking a live look. A beautiful sunrise there across the 2nd Street Bridge. You're seeing just a few clouds, just enough to make that sunrise look gorgeous. But we're going to have a check of your 7-day in 5 minutes.
Well, right now, Louisville is losing out on millions of dollars from tourists because it doesn't have enough hotel rooms for everybody. A new Value Place hotel going up on Preston Highway near the fairgrounds could change that, but at a cost. Several businesses, including a motorcycle shop, will have to hit the road, possibly as early as September.
So we got a hell of a lot of stuff that's going to have to move, get out there, then find a place for it and get it set up, and then redirect it.
The new Value Place could help keep conventions in Louisville. Later this spring, the Future Farmers of America said it was moving its annual convention from the River City to Indy after 2016 because of a lack of hotel rooms in the area. That convention alone brought in 60,000 visitors and $40 million to the economy this year. Well, this morning we are getting a closer look at the new Omni Hotel project in downtown Louisville. Air 3 got these shots high above the construction site at 2nd and Main. When complete, the complex will have 600 rooms, 225 apartments, a steakhouse, and a rooftop bar. The Omni Hotel promises to change Louisville's skyline when construction wraps up in about 3 years.
I feel confident because I'm the best player in the world. It's simple.
Is it really so simple? We break down Game 5 of the finals and what could be a wake-up call for King James. That's coming up on Sunrise.
And we're still dealing with the one trouble spot of the morning. 71 north, right at Pendleton, overturned tractor trailer, traffic backed up to LaGrange. And the best you're going to be doing is 20 to 24 miles an hour. Plan an extra 30 minutes at least if you're headed that direction. Stay right here. We'll have more Sunrise for your Monday coming up after the break.
Well, Jeb is different than George, and Jeb is who he is. My life story is different, and I got to do that when I ran as governor, and I got to share my passion for service when I was governor, and telling that story is going to be part of this. I don't have to disassociate myself from my family. I love them, but I know that for me to be successful, I'm going to have to show my heart, tell my story.
Well, happening in just a few short hours, Jeb Bush set to finally announce he is running for president, joining a crowded Republican field. NBC News correspondent Edward Lawrence has a preview of his big announcement.
Former Governor Jeb Bush hopes his announcement will launch his name to the top of the list as the potential Republican presidential nominee. He now has to beat 10 others who already officially announced.
I'm going to be who I am. I'm not going to change who I am.
The Bush campaign released this ad to jumpstart his announcement.
This is what leadership's about. It's not just about yapping about things.
The buzz about Bush officially running for president has the Republican establishment talking.
Jeb Bush, of course, was a superb governor, did a great job, was the education governor that people across the country look to. He's a very strong contender in this, of course.
Meanwhile, Democratic presidential hopeful Hillary Clinton reintroduced herself to voters in Iowa. She hopes voters forget her third-place finish in that state in 2008.
I'm running for president to make our economy work for you and for every American.
But Monday will be Jeb Bush's day, and he hopes it will be one Republican voters remember at the polls. The Bush campaign is branding itself with the candidate's first name, Jeb, to distance himself from his brother's presidency. In Washington, Edward Lawrence, NBC News.
Now, we know many of you are getting your latest headlines on your smartphones, so be sure to download the Wave 3 News app. It's always free and available for Apple and Android devices. Get it today so you can get all your Decision 2016 headlines right when we do. All right, headline in the weather this morning is muggy and warm already. Look at the bottom of your screen, 78 degrees already.
I know. We're going to have another Check Your Forecast coming up.
Well, a music festival delivers disappointment and frustrates fans when the performers they were promised never make it on stage. Plus, we're talking all about Pharaoh's big night as the horse returned to the place where he won his first jewel of the Triple Crown. That's coming up. Good morning, 6:23. Welcome back to Sunrise. A lot to talk about in the world of horse racing this weekend, but we need to start on a serious note. Kentucky Derby fifth-place finisher Danzig Moon was euthanized yesterday after suffering a broken leg. He was the favorite in the Queen's Plate at Woodbine when he was pulled up by his jockey Julien Leparoux. He then collided with another horse. Danzig Moon fell, and after they realized he'd broken his right hind leg, he was taken off the track and euthanized. All right, some more uplifting news now. A welcome fit for a king as American Pharoah made an appearance at Downs After Dark on Saturday. The first Triple Crown winner since 1978 ate up the attention as thousands cheered him on during a parade around Churchill Downs. Fans traveled hundreds of miles to see American Pharoah at the place where he won his first jewel of the Triple Crown.
Most of these people have never seen a Triple Crown winner in their lifetime, and now they're getting to see him parade around. And thank you to Mr. Baffert and the Zayats for sharing him with us, because he has become Louisville's horse.
It's all about American Pharoah. I mean, he is one hell of a horse, and hopefully he will continue to excite all of us and make us more proud of this horse.
5,000 fans walking through the gate of the track also left with a special gift, posters of American Pharoah winning the Belmont. American Pharoah will leave Churchill later this week, and he'll return to his Southern California base on the 18th. Turning to Game 5 of the NBA Finals, where Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are picking up the momentum they will need to win their first NBA title since 1975. Game was back and forth all night. Fourth quarter, Cavs down 2. LeBron James hits a deep three to give the Cavs a lead, 80-79. 8 minutes left in the game now, but in the final 4 minutes of the game, the Warriors pulled away. Klay Thompson misses a three-pointer, but Andre Iguodala is there for the putback layup, and he was fouled. He's been big in the series. Score now 91-84 Warriors. Steph Curry, with the crossover. Oh, my. Matthew Dellavedova's been D'ing him up, but not that time. Nice crossover move, got the open three. Curry finished with 37. The Warriors win Game 5, 104-91. They take a 3-2 series lead over the Cavaliers.
Put ourselves in good position now to go to Cleveland and hopefully close it out. So we're confident. We're not getting ahead of ourselves. The locker room, if you walked in there, was the exact same after a regular season win. But we know the sense of urgency of the moment.
The Golden State Warriors now one game away from the NBA title. They'll play Game 6 on Tuesday night, but this one's at Cleveland. A military man and a family man. This morning we're learning new details about the man who died in a trench collapse on Dixie Highway last week.
And a deadly police shooting caught on camera in Louisville is catching headlines all around the nation. And the big question this morning, was it justified? And what's next?
And take a live look outside this morning. There's the 2nd Street Bridge. There's the Ohio River. Warmer than bathtub water right now already. And we're just into June here. Just look at the bottom of your screen. 78 degrees. It's really humid too. But there is rain to our north. We'll tell you when it arrives here when Christie's forecast comes back here at sunrise, 6:30. Good morning. It is Monday the 15th, halfway through June, and it feels like we're all the way into summer. Doesn't it? Take a live look this morning. That's the 2nd Street Bridge and the Ohio River. The sun is coming up, and it already kind of feels like, well, I was going to say Phoenix, but Phoenix isn't as humid as we are right now. It's 78 degrees already this hour of the morning, and it's very, very humid. And Christy's been off at a weather convention. So, Chris, have you noticed how much smarter she's been since she got in here this morning?
She's talking about things that just blow my mind.
I know, and she was already really accurate. So how are you on the 71 back up there going out of town.
It's still an issue, but we do have some improvements to talk about.
Okay, let's get right over to the new and improved Christy Dutton from the weather convention here. So drop some knowledge on us.
Well, I wish I could just improve the forecast and change the weather. Let's head over to Chris McGill now and see how traffic's moving.
And right now, still monitoring the one big trouble spot, Interstate 71 North, right at the Pendleton-Sligo exit. Police still there right now to the Kennedy Bridge. We'll have an update for you on that wreck on 71 coming up here in just a couple more minutes.
It would appear to me, based on my view of the video, that he felt threatened, that his life was in danger. There's a man swinging a 7 or 8 foot metal pole at him. You see in the video, it appears that he is coming down in what I would describe as a sledgehammer-like motion.
Saturday's officer-involved shooting rocking Louisville. We now know the identities of the men involved and have surveillance video of the moment Deng Manyun threatened Officer Nathan Blanford with a flagpole. Question now, what happens next? This morning, we're exploring even more angles of this quickly evolving story, from the men's pasts to the community's future. Wave 3 News reporter Julian Glover's been following this story very closely here this morning. And Julian, what is the police chief saying about this?
Well, John, Chief Conrad says he has not reached a conclusion as of yet on whether or not the shooting was justified. Now, it's a three-part process, starting with a criminal investigation by the Public Integrity Unit, then an internal investigation by the Professional Standards Unit, and then finally, citizens commissions will review all of those findings. Now, here's exactly what happened. The officer had been called to an area near 4th and Oak Street Saturday morning on a report of a woman being assaulted. Now, when Officer Nathan Blanford, along with other LMPD officers, responded, Deng Manyun, a 35-year-old, grabbed one of the flags outside of Smoker's Smoke Shop and swung it at the officer. Now, that's when you can see the video all unfolding right here. That's when the officer fires 2 shots, both of those hitting Manyun. Now, I talked exclusively to the owner of that store, Smoker's Smoke Shop, whose camera captured the confrontation, the attack, and also the shooting.
Took the flag with the, with the bow on it, and he started showing off with it. And then my employee guy went behind the counter, trying to go get the guy, and next thing did he heard like 2 shots.
Chief Conrad says the video appears to show the officer felt threatened and that his life was in danger. Many wonder, could the officer have used a less lethal method to subdue Deng Manyun?
I believe, looking at the video, he did not have the opportunity to transition to another option.
So where does everything go from here? Officer Nathan Blanford will be interviewed this week, and LMPD's Public Integrity Unit will complete its report for prosecutors, who will then decide if the case should be presented to a grand jury for a possible indictment. Since 2012, there have been 17 officer-involved shootings. 6 of those ended in death. 8 of those officers have been exonerated. Now, whether a knife will be added to that list depends on the results of this investigation. Of course, you can count on Wave 3 News to keep you posted. John?
All right, Julian. So when we did some digging into Manyun's past, we found he was arrested back in March for a number of charges, including criminal trespassing, menacing, and indecent exposure, which were all dismissed June 6th. He did plead guilty to disorderly conduct and spent 10 days in jail. As for Officer Blanford, he's been placed on administrative leave while the police Public Integrity Unit investigates. We got his personnel file and looked and found a dozen letters commending Blanford for his work with LMPD. Those letters date back to 2006. Several of them compliment him for his quick response, his teamwork, and investigative skills. He was also nominated for the Distinguished Life-Saving Award. There were a couple letters of reprimand because Blanford failed to go to court, and he was suspended for a day for that. As for body cameras, Chief Conrad said the officer didn't have one, but there is dash cam video. And that surveillance video that you saw, LMPD recently rolled out some body cameras for the department to use. They say they plan to get cameras to all officers by this time next year. We will follow all the developments of the story very closely as more information becomes available this week. You can get the latest at all times online at wave3.com, including the raw video of the police chief's entire news conference about that shooting. A 9-year-old who was shot in the leg while playing basketball has now been released from the hospital. Key Anthony Tyus was playing in Ballard Park last Monday night when he was caught in the crossfire of a drive-by shooting. This is a picture of him as he left the hospital Saturday. He had to be taken home in the ambulance because of the severity of his leg injury. Nobody has been arrested in connection to the shooting. A Jeffersonville toddler was hospitalized after shooting himself in the leg with a handgun. Our partners at the News and Tribune report 22-year-old Dimitri Miles, the boyfriend of the 2-year-old's mother, was charged with child neglect Friday. Miles told police the loaded gun was either in a gym bag or shoebox, and he woke up to the sound of a gunshot. He said he took the child to a relative's house before taking it to the hospital. Miles' bail is set at $15,000. The remains of a man killed in a trench collapse here are expected to be flown to Tennessee Wednesday. Jonathan Moore died Thursday while working in a trench along Dixie Highway, burying him 10 feet deep and trapping his co-worker Jim Lowry up to his waist. One of Moore's best friends, Juan Hinayo, tells us Moore took this job digging trenches to help support his younger siblings. The 19-year-old National Guardsman had gone through basic training and thought the military was his way to provide for his family.
God, his family, and his country, and that's all he cared about. He's just an awesome person that, I'm thankful to God that I was able to meet him.
The official cause of death is blunt impact and asphyxiation. Moore would have turned 20 today. Lots of disappointment for thousands of people who expected to see some popular R&B performers at Saturday night's Urban Expo Music Fest, and now they're demanding a refund. Wave 3 News received some complaints from the fans saying the acts they went to see never hit the stage. We weren't able to reach the concert promoter, but the Yum Center sent us a statement that says, quote, due to factors beyond the Yum Center's control, the Urban Expo Music Fest experienced performance delays on Saturday that impacted our guests' experience. We're always striving to provide the best live entertainment experience possible, and we apologize that certain factors prevented us from being able to exceed our guests' expectations. The question around here is, are we going to exceed the heat and humidity we've been seeing here for days now?
High of 87, and then some scattered off and on storms there during the rest of the work week.
Still ahead, the woman accused of helping 2 convicted killers escape is set to appear in court as the search enters its 2nd week. Plus, is an NAACP leader black or white? And should that even matter? Big debate taking the internet by storm as cries get louder for Spokane's chapter president to resign.
And welcome back to Sunrise here on this Monday morning, almost 6:45 right now. Update for you coming up in just a few minutes, John.
Well, right now, 2 teens are in the hospital after shark attacks. It happened off the North Carolina coast yesterday. The attacks were in the same area and less than an hour apart. Authorities say a 14-year-old girl lost part of her arm and could lose her left leg. Less than an hour later, a 16-year-old boy was attacked, again losing part of his arm.
Probably about a football field distance away. Attacked by a shark. They said the head was about that big, I think the kid said, and estimated 6 to 8 foot. No, 7 to 8. Blood in the water, coming over with the whitewash. Kid was in shock. He was still coherent. Took it clean off.
You saw that?
I saw what was left of what he had.
Now, all that was just 3 days after another teen was bit by a shark. But get this. Officials say the beach will be open today, but helicopters will be flying all day in order to try to look out for danger. Right now, police are still searching for 2 prisoners who escaped from a New York prison over a week ago. Convicted murderers David Sweat and Richard Matt escaped from the maximum security prison in New York. 800 officers are still searching the area around the prison, which is deeply wooded and difficult to search, but at this point they have no leads and no answers as to where they could be right now. Joyce Mitchell, a worker at the prison, is accused of helping the 2 men. She's due in court this morning, and she's facing up to 8 years in prison. Spokane NAACP President Rachel Dolezal will not address the controversy surrounding her race today, as previously reported. Dolezal had planned to make a statement during today's monthly membership meeting about questions on her family, race, credibility, and the NAACP. That meeting is now canceled. Dolezal's race has come under question after her estranged mother claims she's white, but is, quote, being dishonest and deceptive with her identity. She has identified herself as at least partly African American, but her Montana birth certificate states she was born to 2 parents who say they are Caucasian. Los Angeles becomes the largest city in the United States with a minimum wage of $15 per hour. Mayor Eric Garcetti signed a bill into law Saturday, raising the minimum wage from $9 an hour to $15. The change will be gradual over the next 5 years. Groups representing restaurants, theater owners, and small businesses opposed the increase. The minimum wage for all of California is set to increase to $10 an hour starting next year. Louisville's minimum wage is set to rise to $9 an hour by 2017. Well, it's 6:46 here this morning. Bad news for an ice cream company that just reopened its doors after discovering listeria in its products. Jenny's Splendid Ice Cream Company discovered the bacteria for a second time at its ice cream production facility in Columbus, Ohio, just weeks after the chain began selling ice cream again. The company stopped production and closed its doors because it doesn't have enough untainted ice cream in stock. If you bought Jenny's in the past few weeks, the company says don't worry because it's been testing every batch of ice cream made and holding it until listeria tests come back. A small comet probe sent into space months ago has finally woken up and sent its first hello from space. Philae became the first spacecraft to land on a comet back in November, was supposed to reveal details about how planets evolved. But when its anchoring mechanism failed, it landed in a shady spot where there wasn't enough sunlight to keep it powered for more than 60 hours. Philae finally powered back up Saturday night and wasted no time in sending scientists 300 packages of data through its mothership, Rosetta. Philae wasn't the only thing that roared back to life this weekend, 14 years after the last Jurassic Park film. The series made a triumphant return to the silver screen with its latest installment, smashing records left and right. Jurassic World, the fourth installment in the series, now holds the record for the highest global opening ever, earning almost $512 million over the debut weekend. More than $204 million of that came from the U.S., making it the second highest grossing U.S. opening ever, behind The Avengers a couple of years ago. And good news for any fans out there, Jurassic World star Chris Pratt says he's already signed on for more installments. Well, who needs something old or something new when you can stick to something orange and something blue? Coming up, a football-themed wedding that's putting all the other team's fans to shame.
Well, we have a baseball game later on today. The Bats will be playing, and it sure does feel like baseball weather, heat and humidity in full swing. We're going to talk about your chances for storms coming up in your forecast.
Sponsored by McDonald's on the Wave 3 News mobile app right now.
Good morning. It is 6:51 on your Monday, and it never cooled off overnight. Check that out, 78. Christy, I got back in town after 4 days away, and my hanging basket is deader than dead. I mean, it is so hot out there.
Yeah, I know. The storms tomorrow could be strong with some gusty winds or hail. Let's head over to Chris McGill now and see how traffic's moving. What areas do we need to avoid?
Well, some good news. Police just cleared that wreck 71 north at the Pendleton-Sligo exit. Everything into Spaghetti Junction. Be safe out there. We'll have another update for you coming up.
All right, big debate evolving now. Was that police shooting in Louisville a justified use of deadly force? LMPD says it doesn't have that answer, but officials say they believe the officer involved did believe that his life was in danger. Wave 3 News reporter Julian Glover's been following the story right from the start this weekend. So, Julian, now this surveillance video does show a clear picture of exactly what happened.
John, the surveillance video shows everything that happened. A difference of opinion in the community over the weekend of whether or not that use of deadly force, was it justifiable, was it not? All of this unfolding at the intersection of 4th Street and Oak Street in Old Louisville. An LAPD officer, Nathan Blanford, right here, was responding to reports of a man beating a woman. When he got to that intersection, he found this man, Ding Manyun, 35 years old. He confronted him, and the surveillance video shows everything as it unfolds. Here's the surveillance video everyone across the nation's talking about this morning. You can see Nathan Blanford, the officer, speaking to Ding Manyun. He stumbles back just a little bit. He walks away, and in a moment you'll be able to see that LMPD officer drawing his gun. That's because Ding Manyun is about to charge him with the flagpole. He swings it, the LMPD officer fires twice. All of this unfolding right outside of Smoker's Smoke Shop. We spoke to the owner exclusively.
Took the flag with the, with the bow on it, and he started showing off with it. And then my employee guy went behind the counter trying to go get the guy, and next thing did he hear like 2 shots.
Investigators said they think Manyun was homeless. LMPD Chief Steve Conrad says the woman who was reportedly assaulted was treated by EMS and was not taken to the hospital. LMPD's policy says deadly force is justified when an officer reasonably believes his life is in danger. And Chief Conrad's initial observation of the surveillance video was that this could be that type of case.
It would appear to me, based on my view of the video, that he felt threatened, that his life was in danger.
Question this morning, where does this go from here? Officer Blandford will be interviewed this week, and LAPD's Public Integrity Unit will complete its report for prosecutors, who will then decide if the case should be presented to a grand jury for possible indictment. Of course, Wave 3 will continue to stay on top of the story, both on air and online at wave3.com. John?
Yeah, there's going to be much more ahead here. We're going to follow this closely as details become available. You can get the latest online at wave3.com, including the raw video of Chief Conrad's whole news conference this weekend about that shooting, all the questions and the answers. Happening today, closing arguments are set for this morning in Michael Hilton's DUI murder trial. Hilton, a repeat drunk driver, is accused of killing Hardin County teen Breonna Taylor last year and seriously hurting Taylor's friend Michaela Herrig when he crashed into them in Hardinsburg. Herrig, her stepmother, Taylor's father, and first responders have all taken the stand. Hilton could be convicted of murder in this case. Also happening today, the man accused of killing 27-year-old Brandon Bryant and dumping his body in an alley behind 30th Street, set to be arraigned. Police arrested Trice Whaley for Bryant's murder. Surveillance cameras helped them crack the case. We looked into Whaley's background and found he has previous drug and burglary charges. All right, the talk of Chicago right now may be all hockey, with Stanley Cup tickets tonight in Chicago going for an average of $10,000 per seat. But check this out. Jack and Letitia Loy tied the knot this weekend in Freeport, Illinois, with a full football theme. Their maids of honor came out as Bears cheerleaders. Oh my gosh. The bride and groom wore blue and orange trim, and the ceremony was officiated by referees on a football field. The new couple held a tailgate reception after exchanging their vows. Oh yeah! And look at the people in the stands behind them, all in their football jerseys.
How much does it cost to rent out that venue?
Now, I happen to be from that part of the country. Freeport's colors, the Freeport High School, there's the Freeport Pretzels, and their colors are Chicago Bears. That's what they're called, the Freeport Pretzels.
What?
They are blue and orange like that, like the Chicago Bears. So there you go.
The pretzels.
The pretzels?
Yeah, the high school there. It's Freeport Pretzels.
Twisty or what?
That's probably a more interesting story to you than the people being married.
Yeah, I don't care about that. The pretzels? That's horrible. Pick an animal. That's a food. That's a carb. Pick an animal.
All right, another breaking editorial coming tomorrow here on Wave 3 Sunrise. Have a great day.